She tore his uniform in anger, but froze when she saw what was underneath. Her boots clicked sharply on the polished floor, each step resonating with her rising anger. The tension in her shoulders was almost painful. Every nerve in her body seemed to scream in frustration. She had always prided herself on being in control, but today she felt her patience slipping away like sand through her fingers. Commander Verk stood at the center of the command deck, calm and composed as ever. His eyes scanned the holographic displays that floated in midair, showing the positions of nearby ships and colonies. Mara's footsteps grew louder, more urgent, and Verk finally looked up. "Mara," he said in a calm, almost too casual tone. "I didn't expect you so soon." "Expect me?" Mara snapped, her voice sharp enough to make the officers nearby flinch. "I'm here because you ignored direct orders. You can't just take the ship to the Novari border without clearance." Verk's eyes didn't betray any emotion, but there was a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "Orders are suggestions in times of urgency. The Council takes too long. If we wait, hundreds of human lives could be lost." Mara's hands curled into fists. "You think you can decide who lives and who dies? That's not your call." The air between them thickened with tension. Officers stepped back, sensing the storm about to break. Mara, fueled by anger, stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a growl. "You always think you're smarter than everyone else, don't you? Always one step ahead." Verk's calmness only made her more furious. His unwavering confidence felt like a challenge, daring her to act. And in a moment of pure emotion, Mara did the unthinkable. She grabbed the edge of his uniform, yanking it sharply. The fabric tore with a loud rip, and the sound seemed to echo across the silent command deck. Time seemed to pause. Mara expected outrage, a yell, perhaps even a reprimand, but what she saw instead made her freeze. Beneath Verk's uniform was not the simple undersuit she expected. Instead, glowing circuits traced patterns across a sleek exosuit that seemed alive. Small pulses of blue light ran along the seams, responding to his heartbeat. Thin layers of metal and flexible material covered his body, perfectly fitted, moving as if it were part of him. The exosuit shimmered faintly, reflecting the holographic lights in the room. Mara's anger evaporated instantly, replaced by shock and awe. She stepped back, her fingers still gripping the torn fabric. Her mind raced. What is this? Why didn't he tell anyone? Verk remained completely still, his expression unchanged, though the faint glow from the exosuit made him appear almost otherworldly. "I suppose I should have told you sooner," he said quietly. "But it wasn't time, not yet." Mara's mouth opened, but no words came. She stared, captivated by the strange combination of technology and human form. This is," she began. "Human ingenuity," Verk finished for her, his voice steady. "I designed it with the best engineers from Earth, Mars, and Titan. It's meant to protect us, and to give us the edge we need against the Novari swarm." The name hit her like a shockwave. The Novari swarm, a relentless alien threat that had already wiped out colonies faster than humans could react. The Council's hesitation had cost lives, and Verk had taken action. Mara's anger wrestled with a growing understanding. "Edge," she repeated, disbelief in her voice. "You're saying you've been hiding this from everyone while we risked our lives out here?" Verk's eyes softened slightly. "Yes, but consider this. If the swarm attacks and we are not prepared, all our lives are at risk anyway. This suit levels the playing field." "It doesn't replace human skill, it enhances it." Mara's mind refused to fully accept it. Part of her wanted to scream, to accuse him of betrayal. But another part, the part she could not deny, felt a spark of hope. This exosuit was remarkable, a perfect blend of human creativity and advanced technology. It was something only humans could achieve, an invention born from necessity, courage, and relentless determination. She studied the intricate patterns of the glowing circuits. It reacts to you," she said slowly, "moves like it's alive." "Yes," Verk replied. "It senses my motions, anticipates my reflexes, and even interfaces with the ship. I can control drones, weapons, and navigation through thought alone, but it doesn't do the thinking for me." "That's all human." Mara's gaze softened, but her voice was still laced with suspicion. "And you didn't think to tell the crew or me?" "I couldn't," Verk said simply. "If the swarm had discovered the technology before we were ready, it would have been used against us." Secrecy was necessary. Mara took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions inside her. She wanted to be angry, but she couldn't ignore the truth. Humans had created something extraordinary here, something that could tip the balance in a war that felt unwinnable. The tension in her chest shifted slightly. Curiosity replaced some of the fury. "Show me," she demanded. Verk nodded, and with a flick of his hand, the exosuit responded. Lights danced across the surface, and his movements became a blur. He lifted a training drone with a mere gesture, directing it across the room with precise control. Myra's jaw dropped. "Impressive," she whispered, unable to hide her astonishment. The combination of human intelligence, adaptability, and courage had created something truly extraordinary. And for the first time, she understood that Verk's decision, while reckless on the surface, carried a weight of strategy she had never considered. But all quickly shifted back into urgency. "The swarm could attack at any moment," she said, her voice regaining steel. "We need to prepare. If you've been hiding this suit, what else are you hiding? What else do we need to know to survive?" Verk smiled faintly. "Everything you need is right here," he said, tapping the exosuit. "But survival depends on more than technology. It depends on courage, adaptability, and trust, qualities humans have in abundance." Mara's anger simmered down completely, replaced by a determined focus. She realized that humans had a unique strength, the ability to innovate, to adapt, to overcome challenges that seemed impossible. This exosuit was just a tool. The real power lay in their minds and hearts. The two of them stood in silence for a moment, the glowing exosuit illuminating the deck. Outside the viewport, stars glittered like diamonds against the dark canvas of space. Mara knew one thing for certain: the coming battle with the Novari swarm would test every ounce of human ingenuity and courage. And with Verk's exosuit and the human spirit behind it, they had a chance. Her anger forgotten, Mara extended her hand. "All right, Commander. Let's see what humans can really do." Verk took her hand firmly, a silent acknowledgement of trust, partnership, and shared purpose. The starship hummed, ready for the challenge ahead. And somewhere deep inside Mara, a fire ignited, not the fire of anger, but the fire of hope, determination, and the unwavering belief that humanity could rise above any threat. The journey had just begun, and the first steps into the unknown would reveal the full extent of human ingenuity and the extraordinary courage that lay within them all. The bridge of the Aurora hummed with life. Lights flickered across the consoles as crew members monitored systems, scanned nearby space, and coordinated navigation. Lieutenant Mara Drayden stood near the viewport, still digesting what she had seen. Commander Verk's exosuit shimmered faintly under the artificial lights, each pulse of energy a reminder that humans had created something extraordinary. "I can't believe this," Mara whispered to herself, more in awe than anger now. She watched Verk move effortlessly across the deck, his hands gesturing, and the suit responded instantly. A small drone floated to his side, obeying his mental commands as if it were an extension of his own body. Verk noticed her gaze. "It's not magic," he said quietly. "It's human engineering. Thousands of hours of research, thousands of minds working together. Every circuit, every sensor, every line of code is human-made." Mara's eyes widened. "It's incredible, but why hide it? We could have used this before on patrols or even during training." Verk's expression softened. "Because the swarm doesn't wait. They adapt. They attack when we are weakest. If they had discovered this technology before we were ready, it would have been turned against us, and many lives would have been lost. Sometimes secrecy is the only protection." Mara's anger slowly ebbed, replaced by curiosity. She had always admired humans for their creativity, their ability to think quickly and solve problems, but seeing it in action like this was different. It was proof that human determination and ingenuity could surpass expectations, even in the face of a threat like the Novari swarm. "You're saying this suit can give humans an advantage," Mara said, her voice thoughtful. "Not just protection, but an edge." "Exactly," Verk replied. He extended his hand, and a holographic display sprang to life above it. Lines of energy connected points across space, ships, colonies, and unknown swarms of alien activity. The suit interfaces directly with the ship and its systems. "I can control drones, shields, even weapons, all without touching a console. But it doesn't replace human thinking. That's still up to us." Myra leaned closer, fascinated. She watched as Verk moved his hands, and the holographic drones responded instantly, forming patterns, scanning areas, and adjusting shields. "So, it's like an extension of your mind?" Verk nodded. Yes, but it's more than that. It enhances perception, reflexes, and even stamina. With this, one human can perform tasks that normally take 5 people or more, but it's still powered by human ingenuity, intuition, and courage. Mara's mind raced. She had known humans were clever, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. It wasn't just about strength or speed. It was about thinking differently, adapting faster, and using every resource intelligently. Can anyone use it? She asked. Verk shook his head. No. It requires a neural interface calibrated to the user. My mind and body are linked to it. Another person could wear it, but it wouldn't respond the same way. It's a partnership, not a tool. That's the key. Mara considered this, realizing that what she had first seen as a secret was actually a symbol of human determination and careful planning. Humans had created a solution before the problem even fully arrived, an impressive, daring act that only they could accomplish. All right, Mara said, her voice firm. Show me everything. I need to understand this to know how we can survive the swarm. Verk nodded and gestured toward the main training deck. The room was empty, a blank space ready for demonstration. Mara followed, her curiosity growing with each step. He activated the suit fully. Lights ran across its surface, and Mara felt a faint vibration in the air as if the room itself was alive. The exosuit is more than armor. It can enhance combat skills, provide instant tactical analysis, and even adapt to unexpected threats. Watch this. Verk raised his hand, and a training drone sprang from a compartment in the wall. It darted across the room like a shooting star. Without moving, Verk gestured with his fingers, and the drone split into 3, then 5, forming patterns Mara had never seen. She gasped. Humans think differently, Verk said. We see solutions where others see obstacles. We adapt, improvise, and use what's around us to survive. The swarm won't be easy, but humans have an edge they don't. Myra's respect deepened. You really believe that? I do, Verk replied. We've faced impossible odds before and survived. Look at Earth's history. Every challenge, every disaster, every threat, humans have found a way forward. The exosuit is just a tool. The real power is in our minds, our creativity, and our courage. Mara nodded slowly. She realized that anger was no longer useful. What mattered now was preparation, understanding, and using human strengths to their fullest. Verk demonstrated the suit further, showing how it could analyze terrain, anticipate enemy movements, and create tactical strategies in real time. Mara was impressed, not just by the technology, but by the principles behind it. Humans had always thrived on adaptation and innovation. They learned quickly, improvised solutions, and faced danger with courage and determination. Humans are unpredictable, Verk continued. That's our advantage. The swarm calculates, follows patterns, expects routine. We don't work that way. We improvise, we adapt. And we fight for more than survival. We fight for each other, for our homes, for our future. Mara felt a surge of pride. She had known humans were strong, but seeing it in action, seeing technology and human spirit combine, was inspiring. It was a reminder that no matter how advanced the enemy, humans had a unique edge: creativity, courage, and the ability to think beyond limits. Suddenly, an alert sounded across the bridge. The holographic display flashed red. Mara's heart skipped a beat. "Status report," she demanded, already moving toward the console. Verk's hands moved in precise gestures, and the holograms updated instantly. Novari swarm activity detected near Colony Epsilon 7. They've breached the outer defenses. Casualties reported. Mara felt a chill, but it was mixed with determination. Then we don't have time to waste. Show me the tactical plan. We'll adapt, improvise, and stop them. We're human. We can do this. Verk nodded, impressed by her resolve. Together, they began analyzing the situation, using the exosuit's capabilities and human ingenuity to devise a response. Mara realized that this partnership, humans working together, enhanced by technology, was exactly what was needed to face the swarm. Hours passed as they planned, trained, and simulated scenarios. Mara saw firsthand how human creativity could solve problems quickly and effectively. Even when Verk's exosuit suggested one strategy, Mara would tweak it, adding improvisation and alternative options. The combination was powerful, more than she had imagined. By the time the Aurora approached Colony Epsilon 7, Mara felt a renewed sense of confidence. The swarm might be fast, relentless, and deadly, But humans had something they could not predict or replicate: ingenuity, courage, and the ability to adapt in the moment. "Prepare for engagement," Verk ordered, his exosuit's lights glowing brighter as he connected with the ship's systems. "Remember, technology is a tool, but human spirit is unstoppable." Mara stood beside him, her anger from earlier completely gone. She had witnessed something extraordinary: the potential of humans to rise above fear and danger, to face threats with courage, intelligence, and determination. The swarm might be powerful, but humans had something even stronger: their mind, their creativity, and the unbreakable will to survive. As the Aurora moved into position, Mara realized that this was more than a battle. It was a test of humanity itself. And for the first time, she felt truly ready. Whatever awaited them at Colony Epsilon 7, humans would face it head-on, with ingenuity, courage, and unity. The revelation of Verk's exosuit was only the beginning. The true strength lay not in the technology, but in the human spirit that had created it, and that would carry them through the darkest challenges ahead. Mara took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the stars ahead. The future was uncertain, but she knew one thing for sure: humans would survive, adapt, and overcome. Always. The Aurora glided silently through the vast expanse of space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant starlight. Lieutenant Mara Drayden stood at the navigation console, her fingers tapping rapidly across the controls as she tracked the approaching signals of the Novari swarm. Her heart pounded, but this time it was not fear, it was anticipation. She had seen what humans could achieve when ingenuity, courage, and determination combined, and now it was time to put that into practice. Commander Verk stood beside her, the exosuit glowing faintly beneath his uniform, its circuits pulsing in time with his heartbeat. He watched the approaching swarm with a calm focus, his hands moving in precise gestures to coordinate the ship's defensive systems. "Mara," he said, his voice steady, "the swarm has breached the outer defenses of Colony Epsilon 7. Civilians are at risk. We need to act quickly but strategically. One wrong move could cost hundreds of lives." Mara's jaw tightened. "We won't let that happen. Humans survive because we adapt and fight. We'll use everything we have." Verk nodded. "Exactly. Technology alone won't win this. It's our ability to improvise, to think quickly, and to work together that will save them. Watch closely." The first wave of the swarm appeared on the sensors, a mass of metallic ships moving with terrifying speed and precision. Their forms were alien, sharp-edged, and fast, almost impossible to predict. Mara felt a thrill of tension run through her veins. This was the real test, and humans were about to prove their worth. Verk activated the exosuit fully. Lights raced across his body, syncing with the ship's systems. Mara watched as his movements became a blur. Drones launched from the ship, guided by Verk's mind, intercepting the first swarm vessels with precise accuracy. Energy pulses and defensive shields flashed in rapid sequences, forming barriers to protect the colony below. Mara's eyes widened. "It's incredible, but it won't be enough." Verk glanced at her. "That's why we adapt. Watch." He gestured toward the swarm, and the exosuit's sensors scanned the enemy ships in real time. Mara noticed how the drones began to split and regroup, anticipating movements, adjusting trajectories mid-flight. Verk's strategy was fluid, but it was Mara's sharp thinking that added the final touch. She noticed a pattern in the swarm's formations, a slight delay when their ships turned in unison. She pointed it out to Verk. "Divert drones to the upper quadrant," she said. "Create a fake breach on the lower side. They'll shift their focus, and we can strike where they least expect it." Verk's eyes glinted with approval. "Excellent. Human intuition complements technology. Execute." The Aurora responded instantly. Drones moved in deceptive patterns, drawing the swarm into a trap. Energy pulses from the ship's weapons fired at the right moment, striking the enemy ships precisely as Mara predicted. Several swarm vessels disintegrated in flashes of light. The battle had begun, and humans were already adapting faster than the aliens could anticipate. Mara felt a rush of pride. Humans had always thrived under pressure. Their ability to improvise, to think outside the expected patterns, gave them an edge no machine could replicate. She realized that Verk's exosuit was powerful, yes, but it was the combination of human courage and ingenuity that made it truly unstoppable. The swarm adjusted quickly, moving in tighter formations. Mara noticed another pattern, a subtle lag when they accelerated toward the colony's defenses. she called it out to Verk. Focus all energy on their leading ships. If we take them out, the rest will scatter. Verk smiled faintly. Good observation. Humans see what machines sometimes miss. Let's make it count. The Aurora unleashed a coordinated strike. Guided by Verk's exosuit and Mara's sharp insights, energy pulses struck the swarm's leading vessels. Explosions rippled across space, sending shards of metal flying in every direction. Some swarm ships attempted to retreat, only to be intercepted by drones anticipating their moves. Mara felt a surge of satisfaction. Human strategy and creativity were turning the tide. But the swarm was relentless. More ships appeared, faster and more aggressive. Mara's pulse quickened, but she refused to let fear take hold. "We need to protect the civilians on the planet," she said. "Divert more drones to create a shield over the colony's surface." Verk's exosuit glowed brighter, syncing with the ship's defense systems. Mara watched as energy barriers formed above the colony, absorbing incoming fire. Civilians below looked up in awe as human ingenuity saved them in real time. Mara took a deep breath and focused on the next move. "Use the exosuit's predictive algorithms to anticipate their next formation. I'll adjust the ship's trajectory to give us better angles for attack." Verk nodded, and the two of them worked in perfect coordination. Humans had always thrived on teamwork, and this moment proved it. The exosuit amplified Verk's abilities, but it was Mara's quick thinking and understanding of human patterns that made the strategy unbeatable. The battle raged on. Lights flashed across the bridge as drones intercepted missiles. Energy pulses fired in calculated bursts, and the swarm's ships exploded in brilliant displays of fire and metal. Mara could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on her, but it was matched by a sense of exhilaration. Humans had always faced impossible odds and always found a way to survive. Hours passed in tense coordination. Mara noticed something crucial. The swarm's ships followed predictable patterns when retreating. She pointed it out to Verk. "If we focus on cutting off their retreat, we can trap them and end the assault entirely." Verk's exosuit processed the data instantly. "Agreed. Redirect all resources to the upper quadrant. Prepare for a full strike." The Aurora executed the maneuver with precision. Mara's heart pounded as energy pulses struck the trapped swarm ships. One by one, they were neutralized, their formations broken, their threat diminished. Humans had adapted, improvised, and overcome. Finally, the last of the swarm vessels scattered into the void, retreating to regroup. Mara let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Around her, the bridge crew cheered quietly, aware of the victory they had just achieved. Verk turned to Mara, the exosuit dimming slightly as the battle subsided. "You see what I meant?" he asked. "Technology alone isn't enough. Humans think, adapt, and overcome." "That's our greatest strength." Mara smiled, exhaustion and pride mingling. "I see it. Humans are unstoppable when we work together and use our minds. The swarm underestimated us, but they won't make that mistake again." The colony below was safe, at least for now. Civilians emerged from shelters, looking up at the sky, unaware of how close they had come to disaster. Mara felt a surge of responsibility. Humans had the power to survive, but that survival depended on courage, creativity, and the willingness to face fear head-on. Verk placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is only the beginning. The swarm will return. But now we know what humans can do. We adapt, we improvise, we survive. That's our edge." Mara nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars. She realized something profound. Humans had faced challenges before, and they had always found a way forward. No matter how advanced the enemy, no matter how terrifying the odds, humans had an unmatched ability to think, create, and endure. As the Aurora left orbit and returned to patrol, Mara felt a renewed sense of purpose. The battle had tested them, but humans had proven their worth. The exosuit was powerful, yes, but the true strength lay in the human mind and spirit that guided it. In that moment, Mara understood something she had known deep down but had never fully appreciated. Humanity's greatest weapon was not weapons or armor, but creativity, courage, and the ability to adapt. And as long as humans had those qualities, no threat, alien or otherwise, could defeat them. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a reminder of both danger and opportunity. Mara knew the swarm would return, and when they did, humans would be ready, not because of technology alone, but because they were human. They would think, adapt, and survive. Always. And with that knowledge, Mara felt a spark of hope ignite within her. The trial had come, and humans had passed with flying colors. The journey was far from over, but the first real test had shown the truth. Humans could face impossible odds and come out stronger. The universe was vast, and danger was constant, but so was human ingenuity. And that ingenuity would be the key to victory. The aftermath of the battle over Colony Epsilon 7 still lingered in the minds of the crew aboard the Aurora. The stars outside the viewport glimmered like distant lanterns, indifferent to the recent struggle, yet within the ship, the tension was palpable. Lieutenant Mara Drayden paced the command deck, her mind racing with thoughts of what had just occurred and what lay ahead. The swarm had been pushed back, but they would return, and when they did, the stakes would be even higher. Commander Verk stood near the navigation console, the exosuit faintly glowing beneath his uniform. Its circuits pulsed softly, as if in quiet anticipation. "Mara," he said, noticing her unrest, "we cannot face the swarm alone. Their numbers are growing. If we are to survive, we need allies." Mara stopped pacing, her eyes narrowing. "Allies?" she asked. "You mean other human colonies?" "Yes," Verk replied, his voice calm and firm. "And other species who are willing to fight alongside us. The swarm does not distinguish between planets, systems, or civilizations. To stand a chance, we must unite." Mara's mind raced. She had heard stories of isolated colonies struggling against the swarm, but the idea of uniting humans, and possibly other species, was ambitious, perhaps even dangerous. Trust was hard to come by in the galaxy, but she also knew that human ingenuity thrived in collaboration. Where one mind failed, many could succeed. "Then we start with the colonies we've already contacted," Mara said, "and we present our strategy. If we show them what humans can do and what humans have already done, they may join us." Verk nodded. "Exactly. Humans inspire others not just through power, but through courage, innovation, and determination. That is our strength." The Aurora left the orbit of Colony Epsilon 7 and set a course for the nearest allied colony, a planet named Lyria Prime. Mara spent the hours in the strategy room, coordinating messages and simulations. She explained the recent battle to the Council on Lyria Prime, emphasizing not just the power of the exosuit, but the adaptability, creativity, and courage of humans. "Humans do not rely solely on machines," she told the Council, her voice steady and confident. "We adapt, we improvise, we think differently. That is what allows us to survive against the swarm. And we are ready to share that knowledge and that spirit with anyone willing to join us." The council members exchanged glances, some skeptical, others intrigued. One elder spoke cautiously. "You claim humans can inspire and lead, but the swarm is ruthless. How can we trust that this ingenuity is enough to protect us?" Mara smiled faintly. "Because we've already proven it. The swarm underestimated us once. They will not underestimate humans again. And we're not asking you to fight blindly. We're asking you to fight together with strategy, planning, and courage." Verk added, "The exosuit is powerful, yes, but it's not magic. It amplifies human thinking, human creativity. Humans have always thrived where others faltered. That is why we are offering this alliance, not just for defense, but for a chance to survive and to learn from each other." After tense deliberation, the Council agreed to join the alliance. Lyria Prime would contribute ships, resources, and personnel. Other colonies, inspired by the demonstration of human ingenuity and courage, soon followed suit. Within days, a coalition began to form, a network of allies prepared to face the swarm together. Mara and Verk moved quickly, coordinating training sessions and strategy meetings. Humans and aliens worked side by side, learning from one another, sharing tactics, and building trust. Mara realized something profound. Humans had an advantage that went beyond technology or skill. They had the ability to unite, to inspire, and to lead in ways that other species sometimes could not. The exosuit played a role as well. Verk demonstrated its capabilities to allied leaders, showing how humans could adapt quickly in battle, predict enemy movements, and coordinate attacks with precision. But he emphasized the most important point. The suit enhanced human decision-making. It did not replace it. During one training exercise, Mara observed a group of new recruits struggling with the simulations. Some became frustrated, others hesitant. Mara stepped forward, offering guidance. "Remember," she said, "humans survive because we do not give up. We adapt, we try new strategies, and we think ahead. Use your creativity, work with your teammates, trust yourselves. The recruits hesitated at first, but slowly their confidence grew. They adapted their strategies, communicated more effectively, and achieved results they had thought impossible. Mara smiled, realizing that the human spirit was contagious. It inspired even those who were not human to rise to the challenge. Verk watched silently, his exosuit glowing faintly. Humans lead by example, he said. They do not simply give orders, they inspire, and when humans inspire, others follow willingly. As the coalition grew stronger, intelligence reports came in from scouts. The swarm had established a massive hive in a distant sector of space, preparing for a large-scale attack. Mara studied the reports, her mind racing with possibilities. "We can't wait for them to strike," she said. "We need to plan an offensive, one that uses our combined strengths, our adaptability, and our knowledge of the swarm's weaknesses." Verk nodded. "Agreed, but we must be careful. The swarm is unpredictable. They adapt quickly and they will test us. That is why preparation, strategy, and human ingenuity are critical." Mara spent long hours with the coalition commanders, analyzing data, running simulations, and adjusting plans. Every human insight, every moment of creative problem-solving strengthened their strategy. Mara realized that humans thrived not just in battle, but in preparation. Their ability to foresee possibilities, improvise solutions, and collaborate under pressure made them uniquely capable. The coalition fleet finally assembled near the outskirts of the swarm's territory. Ships of all sizes and shapes hovered in formation, a testament to unity, courage, and determination. Myra stood on the bridge of the Aurora watching the fleet grow. Her heart swelled with pride. Humans had inspired this alliance. Humans had led by example. And humans would fight, adapt, and survive. Verk approached, his exosuit glowing softly. "Mara," he said, "this is the moment where human ingenuity will face its greatest test, but I have no doubt humans will rise to the challenge. They always do." Mara nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the fire of determination. "Then let's make sure the swarm remembers who they are facing. Humans are not just survivors. We are thinkers, innovators, and fighters, and we will not fail." The fleet moved into position, ready for the offensive. Mara and Verk coordinated with allied commanders, sharing insights, predictions, and strategies. Every human observation, every creative tactic was integrated into the plan. The coalition was not just a force, it was a demonstration of human ingenuity at its finest. As the stars stretched endlessly ahead, Mara felt a profound sense of hope. The swarm would come, but humanity and its allies would be ready. Humans had the ability to inspire, to adapt, and to overcome. Their creativity, courage, and determination had built an alliance stronger than any single ship or weapon. And when the swarm arrived, they would learn a vital lesson. Humans, united and inspired, were unstoppable. Mara took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on the horizon of space. The final battle loomed, but she was ready. Humans had proven themselves time and again, and now, with allies inspired by their ingenuity and courage, they would face the swarm together. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but Mara knew one truth above all. Human spirit, creativity, and courage were forces no enemy could ever fully overcome. The alliance was formed, the strategy was set. And humanity was prepared to fight, not just to survive, but to triumph. The stars awaited, the swarm approached, and humanity stood ready. The coalition fleet floated silently in the blackness of space, each ship a glowing beacon of human ingenuity and allied strength. Stars stretched endlessly around them, distant and indifferent, yet within the fleet, energy and anticipation pulsed like a living thing. Lieutenant Mara Drayden stood on the bridge of the Aurora, eyes scanning the horizon. The swarm was coming, and this time there would be no chance to react at the last minute. Commander Verk stood beside her, the exosuit under his uniform glowing softly, its circuits pulsing with precision. "Mara," he said, "this is it. The swarm's main fleet has arrived. They are larger, faster, and more aggressive than before, but humans adapt and humans survive. Remember that." Mara nodded, feeling a mixture of determination and focus. "We'll fight smart, not just hard. Humans improvise, and we never give up." The swarm is about to learn that lesson. The first wave of the Novari swarm emerged from hyperspace, a terrifying mass of metallic ships glinting under the starlight. They moved with deadly precision, their formation almost machine-like in its perfection. Mara's pulse quickened, but she reminded herself to stay calm. Fear would not win this battle, ingenuity, teamwork, and courage would. Prepare drones, Verk commanded. Activate shields, focus on predictive targeting. Mara moved quickly, coordinating with the officers on the bridge. Every movement, every order was designed to maximize efficiency, exploiting the strengths of humans and allies alike. The exosuit interfaced with the ship, Verk controlling multiple systems at once while Mara provided strategy and intuition. The first clashes began. Energy pulses lit the void as drones intercepted enemy ships. Mara watched as humans, aliens, and technology worked together seamlessly. Each action was precise, each reaction calculated, but always flexible. Humans thrived on adaptability, and the swarm was about to find that out the hard way. Mara noticed a subtle pattern in the swarm's attacks. Their formation breaks slightly when their wings accelerate, she called out to Verk. We can exploit that gap to strike their command ships. Verk's exosuit pulsed brighter, processing the data instantly. Good observation. Humans notice details machines sometimes miss. Prepare the strike. The Aurora and allied ships moved as one, exploiting the weak points Mara had identified. Energy pulses struck the swarms, leading command vessels with precision. Explosions rippled through space, disrupting formations and sending shards of metal spinning into the void. Mara felt a surge of pride. Human ingenuity, applied in real time, was turning the tide, but the swarm was relentless. More ships emerged from hidden sectors, faster and more aggressive than before. Mara's mind raced. We need a new strategy. Divert their attention with decoys, then strike their flank. Verk nodded. Execute immediately. The Aurora released a series of decoy drones, mimicking ship signatures and drawing enemy fire. The swarm reacted predictably, focusing on the decoys. Mara directed the fleet to move into position, striking from angles the swarm had not anticipated. The results were spectacular. Ships that had seemed invincible were torn apart, their formation crumbling. Mara's eyes scanned the battlefield. Humans were adapting faster than the aliens could predict. Every creative maneuver, every improvisation made a difference. The exosuit amplified Verk's abilities, but it was human insight and courage that gave them the advantage. Hours passed in intense combat. Mara's voice never wavered as she issued orders, adjusted tactics, and coordinated with allied commanders. Humans and aliens worked together, learning from one another, anticipating threats, and improvising solutions. The swarm's attacks became disorganized, their strategy failing against the unexpected adaptability of humans. At a critical moment, the swarm attempted a concentrated strike on Lyria Prime, targeting the civilian cities. Mara's heart raced. Protect the colony at all costs, she ordered. Form a barrier with drones and ships. Use everything we have. Verk's exosuit responded instantly, directing energy shields and targeting systems with precision. Mara coordinated the fleet's movements, predicting the swarm's approach and guiding allied ships to cover the colony. Energy barriers lit the sky, absorbing enemy fire, while drones intercepted missiles and ships with incredible speed. The swarm faltered, their attacks repelled at every turn. Mara felt a wave of exhilaration. Humans had turned the impossible into reality, not through sheer firepower, but through ingenuity, adaptation, and teamwork. Every crew member, every allied soldier was part of a larger strategy, and that strategy was working. Mara noticed the swarm's flagship moving to the center of the battlefield, attempting to regain control. Target the flagship, she said, voice steady. If we take it out, the rest will scatter. Verk's exosuit synced with the fleet's targeting systems. Mara coordinated the strike, calculating angles, timing, and approach. Allied ships followed her directions, energy pulses and missiles converging on the massive enemy vessel. Mara's heart pounded as the first hits landed. Sparks and explosions rippled across the flagship's hull, and the swarm faltered. The flagship attempted to retreat, but Mara anticipated the movement. Cut off their escape route, she ordered. Deploy the decoys and intercept. The Aurora led the charge, weaving through enemy fire while drones created a perfect trap. The flagship collided with the barrier of energy and drones, unable to escape. Explosions lit the void as the ship disintegrated, leaving the remaining swarm vessels in chaos. Mara felt a surge of triumph. Humans had faced overwhelming odds and prevailed. Their ingenuity, courage, and determination had turned the battle in their favor. The swarm, relentless and terrifying, had underestimated the power of human creativity and adaptability. Verk turned to Mara, his exosuit dimming slightly as the battle subsided. "Humans never fail when they work together," he said. "Technology is powerful, but ingenuity, courage, and adaptability are unstoppable." Mara smiled, exhaustion and pride mingling. "We didn't just survive," she said. "We proved what humans can do. The swarm won't forget this lesson anytime soon." Allied ships cheered, civilians below on the protected colonies celebrated, and the fleet moved in formation, victorious but vigilant. Mara knew the swarm might return, but humans had shown they could overcome even the greatest threats. Hours later, as the fleet regrouped, Mara reflected on what had happened. Humans had always thrived in the face of impossible odds. Their creativity, courage, and determination had built an alliance stronger than any single weapon or ship. The exosuit had been powerful, yes, but it was human ingenuity that had turned the tide. Verk approached, placing a hand on Mara's shoulder. "This is the moment humans were born for," he said. "Not just survival, but triumph. The swarm will return, but humans will be ready. We think, we adapt, we inspire. And that is why we prevail." Mara nodded, looking out at the stars. "We are human," she said quietly. "We create, we adapt, and we overcome. That's who we are, and no enemy can take that away from us." The coalition fleet began to chart a course back to the Allied systems, ready to rebuild, reinforce, and prepare for the future. Mara walked the bridge, observing the crew and allies, feeling a deep sense of pride. Humans had led by example, inspiring others to join the fight. Together, they had faced a threat that seemed impossible and emerged victorious. As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Mara realized a profound truth. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but human ingenuity, courage, and determination were forces no enemy could ever fully overcome. The exosuit had amplified what humans could do, but it was the human mind, spirit, and heart that had made victory possible. In that moment, Mara felt hope ignite like a flame in the darkness. The swarm might return, but humans were ready. Humans had survived, adapted, and triumphed, not through power alone, but through creativity, courage, and unity. And as long as humans maintained these qualities, no threat, no challenge, and no enemy could defeat them. The stars awaited, full of danger and opportunity, and humanity stood ready not just to survive, but to thrive. Mara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the fire of determination. "We are human," she whispered. "We adapt, we create, we fight. And we will never stop." The universe was vast, the threats many, but humanity's spirit burned brighter than any star. And with that spirit, they would face the future, united, fearless, and unstoppable.